Now to our feature of the evening. More than 100,000 refugees are reported to have crossed over into Kenya from Somalia from late last year. They are currently hosted in several camps at the DADAAB complex. Now, the high number of refugees still streaming into the country is mainly as a result of the drought and famine owing to climate change. So huge is the increase in the numbers that the Kenyan government bowed to pressure from the UNHCR to reopen Ifo 2 camp, which had been closed in 2016. Relocation of older and new arrivals into Ifo 2 camp started late last month and will go on until at least 60,000 refugees are moved at the end of phase 1. Humanitarian organizations, on the other hand, are grappling with the huge numbers and how to provide critical services for their well-being. In the first feature of our DADAAB Diaries series, Nimrod Tabu, who was at the refugee camp in Garissa County, brings out the story of the influx of the refugees and relocation exercise that is going on.
This is my first trip to DADAAB in the county of Garissa. For over 30 years, this has been home to one of the largest refugee camps in the world. After driving for close to 15 minutes from the DADAAB main office, which houses several humanitarian agencies, we arrive at the DADAAB registration center, where all refugees entering the country from the neighboring Somalia are screened and registered as asylum seekers. Since September last year, humanitarian workers here say refugee numbers have been on the increase. The influx of refugees into Kenya has been going on for over 30 years now here in DADAAB, almost 50 kilometers from the border point between Kenya and Somalia. Women, children, men, and even their teenage sons and daughters have sought refuge here in the DADAAB camp after fleeing their country. It is here at the registration centers that you get to hear harrowing stories about just exactly why they fled their beloved country. Mama Bishi Harafat has arrived here from Afmado. She came here with 6 of her children. The youngest is 4 years old. She left 5 others back home in Somalia with her ailing husband. First step, fingerprints are captured electronically. Every one of her children must also go through the same exercise. They move to another section where more details are captured. This will include biometric eye registration, and once again, fingerprints are collected. From here, the family of 7 heads to the last section of enrollment. Here, verification of the captured details is done before the family is given their status document.
Alhamdulillah, thank you.
They also are handed cards and mobile phone cards that will allow them to access food rations and non-food items. Unlike thousands of refugees streaming into the country, Mama Bishi tells me that she fled her country because of marital issues.
I left because my husband and I were having domestic issues. He accused me of promiscuity and other issues when I was caring for him while he was sick and bedridden.
It is not lost on her that life as a refugee will deny her the freedom she was once used to back home.
If it was my wish, I will stay here for the rest of my life. People are caring here compared to where I came from.
There are 4 main refugee camps in DADAAB. Ifo area had 2 designated camps, Ifo and Ifo 2. But Ifo 2 was shut down sometime in 2016 when the government of Kenya began plans to shut down the camps and repatriate all the refugees back home or to other countries. The other camps are Hagadera and Dagahale. The camps were each designed to hold up to 50,000 refugees, but the numbers here have lately been shooting up.
Early last year we did an exercise called profiling. And we realized that they had fallen from 18,000 to about 44,000. And then in August, the number had doubled. And by the close of the year, we were doing over 100,000 of the new arrivals. And many of the reasons given were that based on insecurity, issues of drought, issues of famine.
The current IFO camp has reached its capacity, and it can't accommodate more than that. You know, with more than 100,000, these are camps that were designed for approximately 80,000 refugees. Right now, they are in the range of 115, 120,000, and it's too much.
Overcrowded camps can only mean scramble for the resources available, such as water and sanitation facilities.
If they want to be assisted, they'll be getting their assistance on the new site and not here, because we don't have the means to expand services here adequately. So if we want them to benefit from services, they can only be provided on the new site.
It is for this reason that the UNHCR sought the Kenya government's intervention to reopen IFO 2. This camp will help ease the congestion by allowing thousands of refugees to move from Ifo, Hagadera and Dagahale, as well as catering for the influx of refugees from Somalia.
Here, this just settled randomly. There, the site is planned, and then demarcated. So each family is entitled to a plot of a certain size. And then gradually we will put infrastructure there for sanitation, access to water and everything. Because right now when they go, several families will be using the same sanitation facilities.
Day one of the relocation, and only a few families had volunteered to move from the congested Ifo camp to Ifo 2. We caught up with 2 families, each with 6 children.
I have decided to move here with my family because I will get my own space.
Only 18 families had agreed to relocate on this day. Here, aid workers were sorting out the names and the non-food items the families would receive.
Family size is 5. And here we were given family size 5.
They include makeshift tents, blankets, mats, solar-powered lights, cooking pans, and farm tools to demarcate their land. Once each family received its share, they were led to what would become their new home. Under the scorching sun, the families walked, each one carrying their own belonging. Others had belongings that they had brought from Somalia. Everyone who has agreed to move is allowed to secure a piece of land, depending on the size of the family. And after resting for a while, the men and women shared chores, from clearing the thicket and placing sticks that would be the base of their tents.
It is partly voluntary. We schedule them for relocation. Some of the families don't show up. But at the end of the day, we are going to transfer their data to the new site. So any type of assistance that they require will be provided to them on the new site, which is not far from here, by the way. It's only 4 kilometers.
Day 2 of the relocation, and more people have showed up at the relocation sites.
Normally, the numbers could go as high as 30,000 people. For this one, it could go up to 40,000, but the registration exercise is still going on. So we are still monitoring the numbers, but it is going to be between 27 and 40,000 who are going to be relocated in the first phase. Yes, then we will shift to Dagahale, where we have more or less the same number of people who are waiting to be registered. So after some time, we should have been able to move close to 60,000 people.
According to the UNHCR, this relocation is also aimed at reducing friction between the refugees and the host community, which has been forced to share resources with the visitors.
When you don't assist people in situations like that, you create more problems, including for the community here. Because when this type of operation takes place not in an orderly manner, you create more problems for surrounding communities, villages. There are risks of conflict. When we don't assist them, then they go wild. They go to the neighborhood, they go to the neighboring villages, they cut all the trees, they steal cattle, they do a lot of things. Whereas when we do it, when we provide them assistance, it relieves pressure from neighboring communities, but it also fosters good neighborliness.
After verification is done, the families board a bus and are taken to the new camp. It will be their home for as long as they're in Kenya.
I want to stay here with my family for the rest of my life. I am sure I will be comfortable here than at the original camp and even my home, Somalia.
The issue of climate change is hitting everywhere. It's everywhere. And although migration is as old as time itself, I see us continuing having more of the refugees coming to our country. And perhaps things are a lot better here. At least they have peace. And so they might not want to go back home.
The Department of Refugee Services in Kenya and humanitarian agencies such as the UNHCR and WFP, among others, have come to the stark realization that the refugee influx in DADAAB will continue as a result of civil unrest and now climate change that has caused drought and famine. Nimro Tabu, Citizen TV, DADAAB.